You can't play until you've done my dailies.
That's the chore chart. Is which daily to grind?
Did you clean the bathroom? Did you practice the clarinet? Did you do your dailies?
Welcome to Season 3 of Knights of the D-Pad. As you can see, we've upgraded our set in our studio, and we now have a nice loading wheel as the podcast begins. Okay, that's enough.
I hope we don't get copyrighted for that. I didn't run that by our lawyers.
We got copyright restricted.
That is
I didn't run that.
Question.
I didn't run that by our lawyers before we.
I was trying to keep it short because usually you're allowed to use a very short bit.
Yeah. You also realize I could have just added that in post, right?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I think we just added it in post.
Okay, well, what a way to start off season 3.
We'll fix it in post.
Look at our wonderful
We'll
set.
fix
We
it
have
in post.
a wonderful
Check
TV.
this out.
Look at
And
this.
it's so much more roomy and comfortable. I can
It
actually
is
do
a lot more
this.
roomy, although Aiden's
Without
chair just
smacking
bumping
me
into
inside
the
the
We'll play
head.
bumper cars over here on the right side of the
Yeah,
set.
so you know what they say, third time's the charm. We finally have a set where we are like super comfy as well as looking good, like the previous set looked pretty good.
Well, I look good. I don't know about the rest of you.
You know what? You do look good today.
You look great, Court.
Good work,
You
Court.
look fantastic.
Good
You look like one of the podcast hosts of all time.
One of the podcast
You
hosts.
truly
is
are
of
one
the
of the podcast hosts of all
This
time.
is one of the podcast moments of history.
Oh, you better
Oh.
believe it.
It'll go down in one of the books.
My journal.
It'll go down in a book.
It'll go down in one of the books of all time.
Anyway, welcome back, everybody. I hope you enjoyed season 2.5 over the summer.
If you realized that we had a season 2.5 over the summer.
And for all of those of you who did, we love you. Thank you. You're awesome.
And for those of you who didn't, things did happen over the summer. Most of the episodes were cool. We had Professor Kevin John on.
Oh, that was
Yeah.
great.
That
You
was
better
a-
go watch
that
that
was
episode.
That
It was fantastic.
was a fun episode.
Yeah.
The other big thing is, Ben, you want
Yeah.
to share with those that didn't
Yeah.
watch over the summer?
I went to Lake Powell for the first time.
Mhm.
It was pretty cool. I
Nothing
really
else
enjoyed
important
it.
happened.
Nothing else
important
important.
Not
I mean,
at all.
like I got engaged too, but that's like kind of minor.
So this guy-
jazz
So,
too.
yeah, interestingly, and completely unrelated news, my sister also got engaged.
Coincidentally, also on the exact same day
Yeah,
I got
exact-
engaged.
And they're getting
place. I
married
think
in
you're
the
same
same day
photo, actually.
and the same place.
Yeah.
crazy.
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought?
Yeah,
Wild.
Ben is entering the married man meta
He is.
genuinely thanks to this podcast and Scott,
And
Yeah.
Scott.
which we'll get to Scott later. He gave us some more words to cover, but yeah, Ben got engaged to Court's
engaged.
sister because of this podcast. pretty
And
much.
Minecraft.
And
Shout out to
Minecraft.
Minecraft.
Shout
Shout
out
out
to
to
Minecraft.
Notch.
To Notch. Thank you,
Notch.
Notch.
Shout out to Notch back in 2011.
Oh, yeah.
Who would have thought that it would have led to Ben getting
Ben getting
engaged to
married.
Court's sister, who met through this podcast?
Butterfly effect.
Oh, yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, the release of one
Some
game.
dude
I
in
think-
Sweden creating a block game.
One thing led to another.
Ben being engaged.
It all makes sense now. I don't know if we mentioned as well before season 2 ended about my son being born. He was born in
Oh,
May, which
right,
is
yeah, that
after the
was
school
in
year is
summer.
over, so that's another huge bit of news.
Yeah.
Yeah, stuff's happened. And, well, we're glad to all be back in person for this, and we welcome you to season 3 of Knights of the Deep.
We're sorry
Why are we sorry?
that they have to watch us.
Oh, okay.
Let's see how long we can get into the season before we have to like completely just scuff things up. Noticeably scuffing things up because last
noticeably.
season in season
About
2
30 minutes ago was when we hit that part.
Shh, they don't need to know that.
because in season 2 there were many moments where I'm like I'm recording in a remote booth from somewhere else,
Oh,
or we're like
yeah,
using
yeah.
camcorders as the side camera angle,
Oh, yeah.
or like we're having to use the USB mics because the XLR cables
Remember
weren't
that one time we had to
working.
record in a heritage room?
In the heritage
Oh
room.
my
Heritage
goodness.
Hall.
That
That
was,
was
the controller
season
tier
one.
list.
That's
That
season
was,
one.
that
Oh,
was
okay.
old stuff.
That's
yeah.
that's old school. But
Yeah.
hopefully this set is here, and the only scuff that we'll have is just kind of figuring out equipment setup and which equipment works best, having
Yeah.
all of the right equipment. But for right now,
Largely, we got
it'll
some
be
good stuff.
mostly good. It'll be
Yeah.
mostly good.
So anyway, we got a lot of news to catch up on. We better dive straight into that.
Yeah, I
Um,
think I think we should start with something that Court has experience with. The rest of us have probably only read about it, but the big game that came out, when was it? The 12th? the 11th,
Mhm.
just last week. So
Yeah,
Starfield.
Bubsy 3D finally. No. Starfield.
Starfield.
Oh.
Starfield. Otherwise known as Skyrim in space.
Or
Basically.
what is Oblivion?
Todd Howard's magnum opus.
Maybe.
I don't know that I mean, so you've played it. The rest of us haven't. I've only read about Starfield, and everything that I've read about it is that it wanting to be really massive hinders it a little bit.
That's fair.
That like it's super awesome in terms of customization and stuff, and then it's like, oh, like the shipbuilding is
Oh,
incredible.
the shipbuilding is, I mean, and the base building.
Yeah,
are
like the
both
building and like character
ridiculously
customization
in-depth
goes on
because
for like ages.
Yeah.
But then it's like all of the space travel is just like quick travels through star maps and stuff.
I mean, there is like the space travel, like there is like you can fly around outside of planets, but there's not like No Man's Sky level of like seamlessly.
You just fly from one space to the other. You have to like do a little bit of fast travel, a little bit of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Short loading
It's
screen.
it's almost. I mean, and I say this, it's a lot more in depth than this. But if you guys have played Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga,
Mm-hmm.
the space travel is almost akin to that, where it's like every planet has the actual planet's surface and then has like space around it. That's like a space like where you can just kind of fly around
Okay.
in space around it, and there's like things up there like other ships and stuff like that.
Okay.
But you can't like seamlessly land. Honestly, it's like, oh no, that's not as cool as No Man's Sky, but like there's
You didn't
not a
notice?
single time while playing that I was like, man, I wish I could just land seamlessly on this planet, like,
Hey, and at least Starfield had a good launch.
Yeah.
True.
because honestly, like, it feels like with Starfield, I don't know, it feels more like you're like actually going into your ship's like navigation system and like choosing a place to land
And just
like,
going into hyperspace.
going in and like going into hyperspace. I don't know, it feels very fluid. I know that there are a lot of people that really don't like it, but I never.
Yeah, I know
haven't
that.
minded.
Well, that was what I was seeing in a lot of reviews. That some people wish there was more actual exploration, and that they said that it's very like go to point A, point B. There's like no in-depth mini map of
So-
the planet surfaces. Is
Yes,
what I was
so
seeing.
so basically, Starfield's planetary surfaces can be split into two categories, from what I understand. I haven't actually done a whole ton of reading, but just from what I've observed.
It's like I haven't actually played the
No,
game.
but from what I've observed while playing, basically on each planet, of which there are like, I want to say close to 1,000 planet and moon.
Not bad.
There
bad.
are
Pretty average. Yeah.
individual spots. It's all right. There are individual spots of like handcrafted, like the developers went in and made this outpost or made this city or made this abandoned factory or something that has like a specific, like it's tied to a quest or it's tied to a, and each like the bigger planets will have like
Kind of making me think of Raft.
like
a bit.
3 or 4 of those, and then smaller things will maybe have 1 or 2,
Mhm.
or I think there are some of the more barren moons that just don't have any at all. But most, I mean, I haven't been to a planet yet that doesn't have at least 1, except for Earth, but there's a lore reason for that.
Oh,
And
man, what happened?
Me.
Oh, I thought Ben just said me.
I said me. Yeah.
Oh, he did say
I
me.
happened.
Yeah,
Ben
Ben
caused.
happened.
Ben happened.
But then the other thing is that you can basically, on any planet, you can then like just click a point on the
Mhm.
planet, anywhere on the planet, and land there.
Ooh.
But when you do that, basically what happens is, so you can say like, okay, so here on this planet, I'm gonna click this point. There's nothing. There's no like set points of interest there, but I'm just gonna
Yeah.
click it, and then the game will from there just procedurally generate a like little open world area that
Mhm.
is the biome that you selected. So like if you select a certain part of the planet, it might be like a mountains biome or something.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
And then the game will just procedurally generate an area there that'll have like some procedurally generated like resource events, like cool like structures, cool like maybe
Okay.
you'll like run into a little pirate gang hideout, you know,
That's
that
cool.
that are
Okay.
all like procedurally generated. So the game is on the surface, it's split into handcrafted stuff, and then if you choose to just land somewhere where there's nothing charted, then it'll be procedurally generated. And I've seen a lot of people kind of complain that, oh, the procedurally generated places are kind of lame, and it's like, I mean, yeah, but
That
that's
kind of
because
happens with procedurally
but
generated.
that's because that's not really like where the meat of the game is. Like
yeah.
nothing about the game ever forces you to go to those areas. It's really more just so like you can
So that you have it.
and so
And-
that you can like
build your base there.
build your base or
Mm.
mine resources
Yeah.
there. It's supposed to be kind of barren.
And I also feel like, we've gotten so used to procedural generation that sometimes we forget just how great of a technology it is.
Yeah.
Well, and I
You
feel like
know?
it works in some places, and it works like in Minecraft. Procedural generation is fine.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like Minecraft was what popularized procedural generation, and so they put all their effort into the procedural
and
generation.
it works
Whereas
really well. But
with
for
Starfield,
some other
that
games,
wasn't the priority.
Yeah.
Exactly, and I think honestly, it's kind of an interesting thing because I was talking about this with my brother the other day, and we were like, there would almost be less backlash over it if they just didn't have that feature in the game at
Yeah.
all, and the game really wouldn't suffer from it. Like, it really is just there as like a neat little like extra thing where like, look, you can technically land anywhere on the planet, but like in real life where most of these planets are completely unsettled, if
Mhm.
you landed in some random spot in the middle of absolutely
Yeah.
nowhere,
You're going to be in the middle of nowhere.
it's just going to be the middle of nowhere, So
Yeah.
it's like, so it's really mostly there for resource mining
Mhm.
and seeing if you can find a cool place to set up your own outpost.
My question is, so like, how good is the procedural generation? Because I saw one clip where someone landed on some like random dusty moon or whatever,
Uh-huh.
and it was literally just like dust, and then there were like rocks every like 30 feet.
I mean, most of the places I've been to have been fine. Like it looks accurate to where you're landing. So if
Mhm.
you're landing in the middle of nowhere on a barren moon, then
It's gonna be a barren.
I mean,
it's a
it's your
barren
fault
moon.
for landing on a
Right,
barren
like-
moon and
like-
expecting something.
but if you land there's there's a planet in there called I can't even remember what it's called, but it's got some cool name. But basically the whole concept of the planet is that it's just like the perfect, like there's a like high class like rich people resort set up on the planet.
Oh yeah, I heard
because,
about that one.
because it's like just this beautiful planet all the way around. So if you land there in some random spot, you're gonna find like this lush wildlife and animals
Mhm.
wandering around and lots of cool stuff.
Mhm.
It's fine. The procedural generation is fine, especially for considering the fact that the game never requires you to use it. You don't need it. It's really just there
Yeah.
for if you want to just kind of wander around and gather resources.
Mm-hmm.
The handcrafted places are where the game leads you to, and they are
Yeah,
all
they're probably fine.
and they are all, I mean, on the level of past Bethesda games. So they're all Skyrim and Fallout level quality,
Mhm.
That's
It's
good.
I don't know. I'm really enjoying it. I mean, I don't know, like there is so much to do in Starfield.
Yeah.
Like I mean, I've played it, I think I'm at like 40 something hours probably. There are 1,000 planets, and I want to say over 100, maybe not over 100, but like a lot of like systems, like star systems that have like their own like sets of planets.
Yeah.
I've been to maybe like 5 different star systems. There are literally, I mean, I don't know the exact number, but there are way more that I haven't even touched than there are that I've been to. Like, and
It's just been fascinating, really, because like, what a year for the Game of the Year competition.
oh yeah,
We got
yeah.
Tears of the Kingdom.
Has
Honestly,
some competition.
like
Yeah.
everyone's like, "Oh, Tears of the Kingdom is shoo-in."
Like,
I think Tears of the Kingdom might be on the lower end of these three.
I don't know.
In my-
I would
Having
say,
played Tears of the Kingdom, it's
because
still.
Tears of the Kingdom didn't have as much people have issues with stuff, and
Yeah.
the issues they did have, it's like, why are you having issues with that? Whereas
Yeah.
with Starfield, people are all like, but where's my like exploration? Like they enjoyed
Yeah,
like
there-
in
there
Skyrim
are-
being able to literally just walk everywhere, whereas
Yeah.
in Starfield it's a lot of like, here's your path, you go here, and if you want to go off there, well, it's procedurally generated,
Yeah.
and who knows what you're
Yeah.
gonna end up with.
But then there's Baldur's Gate 3
yeah,
too.
Baldur's
Yeah,
Gate
Baldur's
would
Gate
be the
3
one that I
could be-
think.
I feel like what's happening is, and the one thing that could make it harder for Tears of the Kingdom to take victory in Game Awards was, since it was building off the foundation of Breath of the Wild, it wasn't as
Innovation.
it wasn't
not-
as game changing for the
Mhm.
entire
Yeah.
industry, because while Tears of the Kingdom mechanically is so complex and nuanced that it makes Breath of the Wild look like a tech demo by comparison, which is
Yeah.
all the new stuff they added.
When you
Yeah.
compare
Which
it
is
to the
incredible.
other, like Baldur's
But
Gate.
what happens is,
Mhm.
I don't think many of those new mechanics are going to be adopted by other games because they're so specific
niche,
to
yeah.
Tears of the
Yeah.
Kingdom.
I will
And
still
as
stand
amazing
by.
as it is, Breath of the Wild changed gaming more
Yeah.
than Tears of the Kingdom will.
I saw someone that was like, how do you guys, I saw this, like, it was like a post, it was like this discussion online, and it was like, how will Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild be remembered like 15 years from now? And someone was like, and the kind of the general consensus was that they'll probably be remembered as almost more like a single game.
Yeah,
where
kind of
it's
like one unit.
Where it's like Breath of the Wild laid the groundwork, and then Tears of the Kingdom was like the building on top of that groundwork.
was
It was like the beautiful capstone.
Where you can almost kind of view them as just two sides of a single game, like or
In
like
some ways they already do.
I will
Like,
still
like-
stand by my statement that I believe that Tears of the
It's
Kingdom
towards the bottom end.
is the Gmod DLC to Breath of the Wild.
I think that's a valid.
And it's very creative and like crazy how much they're able to fit onto the Switch of all
Oh
things.
my goodness, yes.
Like how they're able to fit 3 whole maps
Yeah.
and all this dynamic stuff where you can take stuff back in time.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
incredible.
Oh,
And-
yeah.
And of course they amped up the story a ton too, which was great.
Yeah,
Um,
it's an interesting because it's like you said, Breath of the Wild changed the gaming industry more. Tears of the Kingdom just expanded on everything Breath of the Wild did, but didn't necessarily do anything like gonna break
it's-
the game
yeah,
industry.
it's
you
like
know?
mind blowing. It's just more unique to itself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, which in some ways kind of reminds me of the Joy-Cons themselves. They have all this great technology, but a lot of it hasn't been adopted by other people because those other people don't know what to do with it.
Right.
Which will tie into some news topics later in this episode, because Nintendo's finally been like, you know what, you won't use this, I will. We'll get to that. But I think, yeah, Starfield, Baldur's Gate, Tears of the Kingdom, any other huge contenders? Spider-Man 2,
Spider-Man
probably.
2
Spider-Man
would
2
be.
would be-
Spider-Man 2 would have to be something insane
I
in
mean,
order
yeah.
to get
Yeah.
close to those 3.
That's true. We got
I think it'll be those 3 primarily. I don't think there's any other. I mean, you could say Hogwarts Legacy,
no,
but I don't
think
think
it stands a
it's-
chance.
I mean, that's the thing with
because like Jedi Survivor's also in there, but like
but while those are all solid games,
nobody's
and I'm
talking
sure,
about them anymore.
I'm sure that Spider-Man 2 is going to be a fantastic game, but like industry changing, genre defining, I just don't think it will have that level.
I think
of
Baldur's
power
Gate
that
will
Baldur's
probably
Gate
be
of
the
Starfield.
Well,
and
I think
Yeah.
Baldur's Gate will be
will
the
have.
biggest competition because Baldur's Gate
Mhm.
came out and basically just
Because-
like went, here's how you make a D&D style RPG.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Here's-
It's just
2023.
like it's insane how these companies are looking at it and be like, okay, this is amazing. Don't expect this from us because this is too much. And it's
Yeah.
like this is exactly what it should be. This is the baseline.
That's why I think it could
It's like,
be.
you guys were putting this level
Yeah.
of effort 10 years ago. Why aren't you putting it in now? And they're
Yeah,
like,
now that we're
"Because it
paying
doesn't funnel
10
enough."
times the amount too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
$60.
I mean, I think it's going to be a neck and neck race between Starfield, Baldur's Gate 3, and Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah.
It'll be anybody's game.
I think my guess is that Baldur's Gate might edge out the other two
I think
simply
Baldur's
because of the story detail influence being game changing for story, the way that Breath of the Wild was for world building.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's my guess.
No, I agree. I think
I would say
ultimately
Baldur's
Baldur's
Gate.
Gate 3 will take it, but it'll be a close.
It'll be close. Yeah, there's no sweep this year.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, and I think
as much as
Starfield
everyone's expecting.
probably will be third. I don't think Starfield. I think Tears of the Kingdom probably be a better candidate than Starfield would be.
I
Probably
agree.
just because there's
think,
there's
yeah.
just enough discontent with some features
There's just
of
enough
Starfield.
there's just enough discontent with it. They're like, but what about the like exploration? Because it's like people who love the Fallout series and
Oh, yeah.
Skyrim for
Love
the
the
exploration
exploration.
of being able to just go in and be like, you know what, I'm not going to do any quests today. I'm just going to wander around.
And to be
Mhm.
fair, the exploration, at least from my perspective, in Starfield is still there. It's just different.
Yeah.
And you
Different
have
than
to
what people
access it
expected.
differently.
You
Yeah.
can't just mindlessly wander one instance of a map and it all be
Right.
fully detailed and like handcrafted. You'll run into
Right.
procedurally generated stuff.
You've
which-
got to fast travel between
And
things. You've
that's-
gotta,
yeah, and
like
that's
there,
where it-
there is a little bit of
Because like I think technically, because there was a streamer who like did it, and they were like, "How far can I go without it? Like, how far does this like space stuff go?" And I think they were at Earth, and they're like, "Where's Pluto?" And they like found Pluto and just traveled to Pluto, like left the stream on overnight,
Mhm.
and like the game let them go,
yeah.
but they like showed up to Pluto, and it was there as like this poorly rendered like object, and then they just phased through it.
Yeah.
Oh no!
So it's like the empty space.
did
You can
Pluto
technically, I
dirty.
think you can technically explore the empty space past like the planet's sphere.
Now this is to say, that's not to say that Pluto can't be landed on,
No.
because you absolutely can
but
fast
it's by
travel.
not traveling
like-
to it, can you still
yeah,
get
like,
to it?
like grav drive jump to Pluto,
yeah.
and then
Oh,
click
okay.
somewhere to land on it, and then
Oh,
land
Because
on
it's
it,
like
and to fully explore the
technically
planet.
you
but,
don't
like,
have to fast travel, but if you don't fast travel, the game's not going to load
Yeah.
that stuff in.
Okay,
Mhm.
so it's gonna
Which-
still be using Earth as your
I
frame
mean,
of
again,
reference.
But
like-
it's not meant to do. It's not
yeah,
meant to do
like,
that.
but you gotta think
Yeah.
it is space that we're talking about, and space is huge,
Yeah,
and so,
so
like
if
it
you were
does
to
make
just
sense
slowly
for there to be-
fly,
Yeah, like it does make sense for there to be.
Unless they lowered the scale. But I mean, we do know that the engine that Starfield runs on, I mean, somebody spun out 10,000 potatoes
Oh,
and like
yeah.
10,000 milk cartons.
That's amazing.
And like there was no frame droppage.
Oh yeah,
Like,
no,
it's a
that's
great engine.
beautiful.
The physics,
Wait, isn't there the
physics
Milky
engine is-
Way?
Yeah, the physics engine is absolutely
crazy.
bonkers. But yeah, someone basically they no-clipped out of their ship.
Yeah.
Turned off gravity using console commands, and then just spawned like 10,000 milk cartons, and then just
Watch them
flew through them, and just the milk cartons just went
Yeah,
all
it's-
over. It just completely rendered in real time
Oh,
physics,
that's
like
gorgeous.
no frame drops at all. Like
That's-
it was.
That's what I really think is Starfield's saving grace. Like, story,
The engine runs very well for
the-
what they want.
the sheer innovation of being able to do all that
Oh yeah,
on what we just have laying around our house
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
is
true.
incredible.
I feel like Starfield's biggest impact on the gaming industry will probably be the use of what they developed for its engine
Its
long
engine.
term. Yeah.
Well,
Mhm.
and I think it remains to be seen how. I mean, and we'll kind of talk about this a little bit later, but Starfield they've already announced that they're working on full mod support for Starfield.
Yeah.
And I think
Oh,
mods
yes.
will mods
Like
will keep
Skyrim
Starfield,
style?
Yeah, like
Yeah,
mods
but
will
mods
keep,
will keep it
style.
alive.
keep Starfield alive for
You want a game to have longevity, give mod
Yeah.
support.
Those mod support.
Like,
yeah.
And Starfield almost I was talking about this with my brother the other day, but Starfield in a lot of ways almost kind of feels like in some ways feels like a blank canvas
For modders.
for modders to
Mhm.
work.
Because I wouldn't
you
be
know?
surprised if modders implemented better space travel where you
Yeah.
don't have to fast travel
Different
between
mechanics
some
and
planets.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
At the very least, like there's some sort of flying mini game at least.
I mean, there is flying.
Well, like a flying mini game, like while you're loading the fast travel.
oh, fair. Yeah.
So it's
yeah.
like, oh, you're gonna go around the nebula, and then you're gonna do this, and then you're at
Well,
the planet.
The ideal mod for that would be some mod that removes the fast travel and removes the loading screens and just has a way for it to just jump code.
That
Where
would
once you
be-
reach a certain part away from a planet, it'll then load in
B planet.
a close
Yeah.
planetary system to some extent.
I mean, but again, I mean, my thought on that all is like, yes, that works in theory, but like the distances that we're talking
Well,
about.
no, they would shrink the. I'm talking like close,
Like-
close star systems that they would shrink the distance. Like the mod would.
Or just alternate
Would-
Like
travel
you
time.
would be able to fly to Pluto, and like as you approach Pluto, you kind of start
You would
phasing out of
load
the
in.
Earth space system
Yeah.
and start phasing into this Pluto
by-
space system,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and that way
That's
you're
fair.
not
Or
running
just,
into.
or just
Shorten
maybe
the
by
travel
adding other
times.
planets local. But
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
that's fair.
something, I mean, yeah, I would like to. I just did some research on the procedural generation,
Mm.
and I want to make sure this is very clear. So, the procedural generation for games like Starfield, and actually Skyrim used this. The Witcher 3 used this. Fallout 4, Batman Arkham Knight, and Battlefield 4 all used this.
Mhm.
Where the procedural generation is not done at your device.
No.
It was done by the developers ahead of time. They used the procedural generation to create a template for every single piece of like map,
Mm.
and then they just handcrafted things on top of that when they wanted a point of interest location or they wanted to change something.
basic terrain.
So, like the whole Skyrim map was originally procedurally generated, and
they
then the
placed stuff
devs
on
came
it.
in
Yep.
and put stuff on it. And it seems like that's what they've done here with Starfield as well. Your computer's not generating anything. Two people go to the same spot on the same planet. They'll see the same area that was procedurally generated in-house at the developers.
I think there are areas
I-
that are generated on because it's like the area because there are areas where they didn't place anything on there.
Yeah, I'm kind of, especially because like you can literally land anywhere on
Mhm.
any of the planets. And
can't
there's no way that
handcraft
they
all that.
handcrafted all.
Well, no.
of it.
They go in and handcraft the things they want to. The procedural generation
no,
is done
yeah, yeah.
automatically by a computer,
Right.
and it's just a part of the game code
But like,
from the seed.
but like, I think if, for instance, from what I understand, I think if we were both playing Starfield and we both clicked on the exact same spot
look
on the
different.
exact same planet, as long as it's not one of like the set spots, they would look different.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so
'Cause
But I
they-
don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
oh, okay. So it's based on a seed that doesn't change. The seed is the same for every planet, but your device might make a
Render
few
it slightly. Make
slight
differences.
differences
Oh,
in
okay, that makes
interpretations.
sense.
But the basic information, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
well, Starfield, get it on only Xbox and PC. Sorry, PlayStation users.
Hey.
You
Hey.
might get your chance. Well, you will get your chance whenever Microsoft wants to let
But you
Bethesda
know-
put stuff on.
Speaking of PlayStation,
Oh,
Whoa!
background.
I don't know if that was
Transition.
seen, but they had their good old state of play that I didn't even like know was gonna happen,
Honestly-
and then it just kind of like they were like,
Oh, yeah,
surprise! In 2 days, we're having a state of play.
I
We're
didn't,
like,
even know it, I
"Whoa!"
didn't even know it happened until after it happened, and then I
Yeah.
saw someone like talking about it.
They announced a few things of mention. The biggest of which, obviously, being Spider-Man 2
Spider-Man.
footage. So they
yeah.
they mainly showed like New York City footage, and then they also showed some of the combat. The thing that everybody was excited about though was that they showed like some of the vast like expansive suits that you can pick,
Oh yeah.
and that Tobey
Mm.
Maguire's symbiote suit
yeah.
is in the lineup.
Oh man, here we
See, 'cause
go.
they announced it basically. So in the original Spider-Man game, you guys have all played it. Have you guys played it?
No,
Nope.
So in the original one, it's each like so there's just tons of different suits you can select from, and then
Mhm.
you choose a suit, and then that's your suit. In this one, it's like there's like 65 or something base suits, but then each suit has like styles that are like color swaps or like different like versions of it.
That's
Yeah.
fun.
And so they announced that basically when you take into account all the suits for both Spider-Man and all the different like color swaps and styles, there's like over 200 different cosmetic like suits plus different
Yeah.
symbiote versions for Peter. Like
they I
This
don't
looks
remember what they
dope.
said. I think they said there's like over at least 100 different like there's
no,
ton-
200.
200 is what
yeah,
they said.
yeah, that's what I was saying.
Like they said
200
there's just tons of
different like cosmetic.
variations of the
suit
suits,
things.
like even just
So,
slight
yeah.
color differences, but like the map is massive.
Yeah.
Nice. Nice.
So
These
we just saw
visuals.
2 Spider-Man swinging around. Are they implementing co-op?
There is not
Multiplayer?
co-op, but
Ah.
there is
Other
so
spider
you
people?
can seamlessly switch between Miles and Peter at
Ah.
and not at any. I mean, I think there are some missions where it forces you to play as one or the other, but like
So
when
it's
you're
kinda
just
like-
when you're just goofing around in the open world, you can and they show it a little bit. You can seamlessly like you go into the menu and press a button, and you just instantly.
Because I would assume they probably
You're-
have different powers.
It's
You're-
like
yeah,
Lego
they-
Star Wars,
yeah, they
where
will.
you have
Yeah, Lego
and
Star
you
Wars,
just, you
yeah.
just press the button and you're zoom. for
Yeah,
the
but like
person.
across the entire city, and it's got
Mhm.
like kind of a so like right here, he just switched over to Peter,
Who was doing
and who was just like doing push-ups
Sit-ups
or
on
something.
the-
Yeah,
That's
like
crunches.
Those are weird
So-
like pull-ups.
so
Okay.
it kind of like yeah, it kind of they'll be doing something else.
Oh,
you
and
know?
then there's Miles who comes in right there. Okay.
Yeah,
So the story is about Peter and Miles.
Yeah,
together.
yeah,
it's-
Peter
it's
and
two of
Miles
them.
together.
That's pretty
yeah.
cool.
Get it, Spider-Man 2?
Yeah.
Ah,
Now there's 2 of them.
There's 2 of them.
But and like they've showed like video of like from a mission, and like there are like cinematic things in the mission where it'll like the mission will change you from one Spider-Man to the other for certain portions of the mission. And yeah, they both do play very differently because Miles has his whole invisibility. He's got
The shock.
his Venom shocking power things. Peter will have the symbiote and a bunch of like cool gadgets and just more experience, I guess. But
It's true because Peter, he, especially in the versions where he doesn't make the webs like biologically himself.
yeah,
He was a guy who creates a lot of gadgets.
and he
very
has a ton of
smart.
them in the first game too.
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, they've made them distinct enough. And I mean, you had the original game, and then you had the smaller Miles Morales standalone
Mhm.
like game
Yeah.
too. And so we already have a pretty good idea of how they'll each play and how they'll play differently, you know.
Nice.
But
That
Yeah.
was announced, and like they have some really cool like travel things. So it's like you pick somewhere on the map, like as it's showing here, and it'll just zoom in, and suddenly you're just there.
And
Like there's
yeah,
no
yeah.
loading
Oh,
screen.
Yeah.
I love
That
it's sick.
So it's
That's
a
amazing.
pretty seamless kind of like gameplay style. So
Well, and
they-
that's how they do the switch between the Spider-Men so
Yeah.
seamlessly.
You
is
just jump
because
over.
you're just there.
So like loading screens aren't they try and make it a seamless.
This
kind of
seems
thing.
like so beautifully polished.
Oh,
like-
yeah.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Well, the first 2 games, I mean, 1.5 games, I guess, were like ridiculously polished, and so it's like, I don't know. I'm very excited for this one.
Yeah.
yeah.
And so like they've just got like the various suits. I mean, like
These
it all
customization
because
options
they
are
like
fun.
they have variations of all of the suits,
Yeah.
and so you just kind of pick and
Is that Batman?
Right. I was just thinking that looks like a Batman suit.
no, it's just a variation of a Spider-Man.
Well, here's the funny
Mhm.
thing, right? Because this is Marvel, do DC Comics exist in Marvel stories?
Probably
and
not.
would Peter Parker be a fan of those comic books?
Probably. I mean, at least they do in the MCU. In Eternals, they make reference to Superman and
yeah,
Batman.
I don't know.
Hey, there we
Mhm.
go.
There
There we
we
go. I bet Peter would love his comic books.
Yeah.
Miles, probably Miles too.
Yeah.
You know, he had comic books in the Spider-Verse.
So yeah,
movies.
that was the biggest thing that was announced at the State of Play was the Spider-Man 2. I don't remember when its release date's
October
October. Oh,
20th,
that's
I think.
coming up.
Or maybe that's Wonder. It's close. I mean, it
Yeah,
and
it's
Mario
pretty
Wonder
soon.
will be
October
releasing writer?
20th. You were
Okay, yeah.
October
yeah.
20th. So
Right.
that was like the
Mario
big thing.
into the Spider-Verse.
That was the big thing they announced. The other thing that they announced, I don't know what it is with Sony's like addiction to Final Fantasy VII, but they
Oh yeah.
Final
Mhm.
Fantasy VII Rebirth, which
Well,
is like
because
the
they-
second chapter
Yeah,
of
the
the
Yeah,
remake.
they
Remake. Of the
split up the
remake,
remake and
yeah.
added a ton of content, which some people have various opinions on. They
Yeah.
added
Mhm.
content, but like I will say, talking again about polish, these games are visually gorgeous and the
Oh, yeah.
gameplay is
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
smooth.
So this was more like the release date. So they gave it a release date, February 29th. So
He's got a
Dude,
Segway.
He's moving, dude, he's
He's just
grooving.
riding around on a Segway.
So it comes out February 29th next year. I mean,
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be pretty good. I'd say
I
and
want to replay.
it's coming
I
on,
want to play
on 2
the.
discs.
on 2 discs.
Who's buying disc games anymore?
They're
Wait,
doing it
on
again.
discs?
Discs.
2 discs.
Well, you guys know the story of like why PlayStation has a thing with Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy used to be like running. I mean, I think largely they just ran things through Nintendo, but then when they found out that the Nintendo 64 was going to be a cartridge-based game,
They went disc on.
they went disc because Final Fantasy VII was already so large for the technology of the time that
So wait, so
they-
they made Final Fantasy on a disc to spite Nintendo?
no. So here's what happened, right? At first, it was just all on single cartridges, right?
Oh, yeah.
And that's how it worked. You know, Final Fantasy VI, single cartridge. But with Final Fantasy VII, because they were now doing 3D graphics and these like incredibly detailed cutscenes, it would require so much more space that I think Final Fantasy VII, the original, was on like 7 discs or something like that, and it would have had to be more than 10 cartridges on the N64. And Square Enix was like, "Nope, we're gonna run this through the PlayStation because that uses discs," and it became and Final Fantasy became a PlayStation exclusive series from then on for quite a while before they started porting things over to the PC. But it used to run mainly, if not almost exclusively, through Nintendo.
Yeah.
But that's the story. So it's kind of funny that they're doing it again, where they're making Final Fantasy VII. You have to use many discs to play the game,
Mhm.
which
So
probably means they're.
Does it literally? Are they literally going to have a physical release?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
A
100%.
2-disc physical release.
On 2 discs, right
It
there.
even
It says that
says
at the end
on
of the
2
trailer.
discs.
Going back to GameStop, boys.
Let's go.
Got to trade in all of your other Final Fantasy games
Mhm.
for $20.
It's been about 15 years since I played a game that said, "Now please insert disc 2."
Oh man.
That's crazy.
I'm very curious to see how modern like video game players, especially those who didn't ever experience that in the first place, are going to handle this, because that's hilarious.
People are like, thank goodness the PlayStation 5 has a disc drive.
Right?
That's so weird.
Unless you got the ones that didn't have a disc
Dude,
drive.
if you got the PlayStation 5 without the disc drive and they announced
out of
Final
luck.
Fantasy 7, they're like, on disc. You're like,
Well, yeah,
on
that's,
disc?
that's like if you go like, okay, who buys games physically anymore?
Nobody.
Is
Hey,
the
I
first
bought
question.
Tears of
So
the
that just
Kingdom
means
physically.
you're enjoying after you did your like 2 overnight 150 gigabyte download. You're like, sweet, yeah, I can finally play as
Please
Sora.
insert
wrong game.
disc.
And then you like play through half the game. You play 60 hours, and then it's like, please leave your console on for the next 48 hours as we install, part 2.
What I just find funny with modern games that still use discs, you still have to install the game on. It's like it's not
Yeah.
just on.
Yeah, it can't
it's
just
like
run
the
off the disc.
install disc.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's like when you used to buy like Microsoft Word on a disc to just install it on your computer.
Yep.
But now it's with the game.
Because like it used to be, you just insert the disc and you just play the game off the disc. But now it's like, let me install the game off of the disc.
We're
That
straight
is-
up back in like 2004. Dude.
Yeah, we're-
Like,
we're-
It's
I'm about to
evolving just
install
back.
Sims. Like,
Yeah,
please
here we
insert
go.
The second disc.
Now
Let's get the
the
sim.
question is, will it allow you to preload the second disc so you can install both and then you just have to switch discs?
I
or do you have to
hope
play
so.
through the first one and then
Oh,
you
I'm
have to
sure.
install it?
I mean,
sure
I'm
that-
gonna laugh so hard if they don't, but I hope
There's
they
no
do.
way. You have to be like, I bet.
Mhm.
I just
However
wanna
many
see-
hours it takes to
I
do
just
the
want to
whole
see some
install, and then you just have to switch in the
absent-minded
middle.
streamer though forget to install disc 2, and they're like, "All right, we're finishing like number 1 today, and then we're gonna start number 2," and then like, "I didn't pre-install.
I didn't
I didn't pre-install."
This is also like Final Fantasy. So the Final Fantasy VII remake.
Yeah, this is like the
This
second
is like the
half.
second or
The
third.
second
I think it's like what is it
one.
like
Mhm.
3 parts
I
or
thought
something
this is
they're
the
doing?
third one. Yeah.
No,
Well, they
because like
say
this
it's
is
the
this is
second
part
chapter.
2.
Okay, never mind.
Part
It's
2.
part 2.
I
So
think
this
they're
is
planning on
this
3
is
parts.
Final Fantasy VII chapter 2, disc 1, disc 2.
Oh, so it's like Attack on Titan final season part 3. Part
Exactly.
two.
It's like Homestuck
They're
X6
doing
X6 X6.
exactly what the and Half-Life 2 chapter 1 chapter 2. That's the name of the game, is stretching out the second or last
Mhm.
part as long as you can.
Oh,
As
my
long as it
goodness.
gets people coming back for
Right.
more.
And I do have a slight explanation for why PlayStation has such a thing for Final Fantasy VII. I think honestly, Final Fantasy VII was probably one of the biggest contributors to PlayStation being as big a force as it is.
No, yeah, it is.
Yeah, that was like
early
the
on.
first-
There weren't
That was like
really
the first
any big...
enormous PlayStation game in reception, and it is considered one of the greatest RPGs of all time.
And also just one of the first like Final Fantasy games. I feel like that was when Final Fantasy hit more mainstream.
Final Fantasy.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, Final Fantasy was already pretty popular with its games leading up to there, and Final Fantasy VI was huge. The thing was, PlayStation garnered a lot of attention because it wasn't Nintendo, and I think there was a bit of anti-Nintendo sentiment at the time. So when people came over to PlayStation, and there was this hugely cinematic game with things that people had never seen before,
Yeah.
it rocketed up there. Now, a lot of people who like delve really far into the world of RPGs will say that Final Fantasy VI is technically, we're talking about the originals here, was a better game, better story, better stuff like that, but not by much. And so when Final Fantasy VII came with that gorgeous presentation on this brand new, whoa, look at this console, like it was perfectly poised to just knock it out of the park and show people that games can be more than just taking your arcade console home, you know, and having something slightly more elaborate. This was something of a whole new level.
They're milking it for all it's worth.
So they're gonna milk it for all it's worth.
They also
20 years
announced
later.
some DLC for the Resident Evil 4 remake.
Hey,
They announced some DLC for Tales of Arise.
I've been seeing so many ads for that.
It's their favorite JRPG that isn't Final Fantasy, I think. There was a game announced, Helldrivers, kind of like you take control of Titans and stuff.
Is it like Armored Core type kind of stuff?
It's the
Titanfall?
second one, I think so.
Okay.
Something like that.
You doing mech suit combat?
Yeah,
Or maybe not mech suit, more like
No, it looks like it's
It's
a
a third-person
kind of
shooter.
third-person shooter, kind of
Okay.
like Alien Parasites. They also announced they gave a story trailer for the Avatar game.
yes. About time.
Come out sometime.
What I've seen on the Avatar
haven't
game,
heard
it
of
does not look.
Well, it doesn't
all
come out
that-
till next year, so they are still working on it.
Hopefully,
there's not like I don't think there's a set
it looks like a
release date, just
PS2 game.
year.
I just hope it's not like botched.
Yeah.
You know.
I don't know. They announced some
We'll
few other
find out.
games. Honkai Star Rail, the successor to Genshin Impact,
Let's
obviously.
go. Not
coming-
the successor.
It's the successor to
It's
Genshin
not,
Impact.
it's not even in the same universe.
So it's coming out to PlayStation 5 next month on October 11th, which is weird that it didn't just already come out on PlayStation.
It's kind of funny because HoYoverse, the developer of the Honkai games and of Genshin Impact, they have a special relationship with PlayStation. Like if you load into Genshin Impact on a PlayStation, you get a unique set of glider wings that you can only get through that, and it's a gorgeous set too.
It's odd that it wasn't already that Star Rail.
The whole
wasn't
fan
already
base is
on
wondering
it.
about
So,
that.
But it's coming out October 11th.
Yep, it's great.
And then there's an
Star Rail's a great game.
Announced
Love
an
it.
open beta for Foam Stars. It's kind of like Splatoon style game.
That's weird.
But then they also announced new colors for the PlayStation.
Hey,
You'll be able to get it in blue or in red or in
because
silver.
no longer shaped like a Wi-Fi router, but who makes a blue Wi-Fi router?
Yeah, who likes
you
a
know?
blue Wi-Fi router?
So
So now you can get a blue Wi-Fi router or a red one.
I remember I saw this like animated thing that someone made on YouTube of someone like he got a PlayStation and his wife didn't know he was getting it though, and so he's trying to convince her that it's this like super high speed Wi-Fi router, and like the Phantom Star Wi-Fi router or something like that, and then like this guy comes in to do some like tech servicing or something because he called in tech support for the PlayStation. It's like and then the guy sees the husband's face. He's like, oh yes, the Phantom Star, and then they all have these like really strong accents. If you can't hear it in my voice, and then finally like the son's friend comes over and he's like, oh, you got the PlayStation 4? And then the wife is like, the what? And
yeah, so you'll be able to get in silver, blue, or red. I mean, cool, I guess. Then they have the blue and red controllers with it.
Probably the good news about that probably means that there will never be a shortage again, right?
That's what it seems. It's like, wow, okay, that was what I got immediately from it. It's like, wow, I guess that there's just going to be more PS5s in general.
There's going to be no more shortage. If they can take the time to make them in multiple colors now, they're relaxed enough from the frenzy of, oh, there's not enough.
Yep. So that was what was announced at the State of Play. Then Nintendo also.
Yes.
I also didn't know that was happening until it was happening.
Same. Do you want to know how I learned about this Nintendo Direct? Freaking like yesterday or 2 days ago, I was walking on campus from one class to the next with my wife, and this couple behind us was like was like, oh yeah, well, like, so it's like this classic game that fans love, and I'm like, wait, did they just say Paper Mario? And then they're like 1,000, and I literally was like, did you just say that there's a 1,000-Year Door remake? And there's like, yes, and then I walked like 30 feet farther on campus and ran into 2 other people who were also talking about it. So 1,000-Year Door remake,
1,000-Year Door remake
buzz
is
on
one of the
BYU
biggest-
campus.
I think was the
guess.
biggest
It's
announcement.
one of the biggest. Well, there's
One of
also
the
Super
biggest.
Mario RPG, which is another huge announcement.
That was a couple of weeks ago, though.
Yeah, well, yeah, they announced it, but like they were okay. Yeah, that's right. This was the big announcement. For
This was the big
Yeah.
announcement.
which,
'cause
like, yeah, a lot of people absolutely loves Paper Mario and the 1,000-Year Door.
Mhm.
They're doing an
Widely
HD remake
considered
for
the best
Switch.
Paper Mario.
Yeah, and so I think that's going to be great. In fact, a lot of the stuff from the Direct was essentially them making HD remakes of older games and porting it to the Switch, which is funny because, like, while some people be like, oh, why can't they make new games? All the hardcore Nintendo fans have been like, yes, I've been wanting to do this
get ready
forever.
to pay $60 for your game that's 20 years old.
Yeah, here comes the classic decision of like, do you want to emulate it on Dolphin or do you
Oh,
want
right.
to buy it on Switch?
I mean, but
for 60
if you have a
bucks?
good enough computer, you'll emulate it on Dolphin better than it would run on the Switch.
Correct.
there is that.
It just wouldn't be in HD
yeah, it's true.
because Dolphin can only upscale it so much.
Yeah, but like I do hope that what they do with a lot of these like just upscaled ones is what they did with the Metroid Prime,
Metroid one.
where it was a $40 game with like
That'd
a
be nice.
really like in-depth upscaling
That'd be
of
very
all
generous.
the visuals. Like, and I think Nintendo would be the company to do it if anyone. So I'm hoping for that. They haven't announced prices on a lot of these, but we've got like
No.
get this. There's so many. Okay, Paper Mario 1,000-Year Door HD. Got that.
Mario
There's also
Donkey
Mario
Kong.
versus
Donkey
Donkey Kong
Kong!
remake, which is
Freaking love that
crazy.
game.
F-Zero 99.
Yeah, I want to say, how many years has it been since we've had an F-Zero game
It's
release?
been
Even a
ages.
remake? Ages. That's been
I
a
don't
running
think since
joke in the
GameCube
Nintendo.
times.
Yeah, I think that was the last one. That's a running joke in the Nintendo fan community of like, you know, Mario gets several games every like release. Like
Link gets Zelda,
Link gets one or
gets
two.
another
Metroid's
game.
like every few consoles, and F-Zero's like, you guys are getting games?
People like forget that F-Zero was a
Yeah,
franchise.
people forget it exists. But
Yeah.
then not only did they do a re-release of the original F-Zero, but they made it as a 99-player battle royale race all at the same
Really?
time.
That's
like,
incredible.
Imagine
That's, what the
freaking
frick?
yeah! Imagine like Mario Kart Double Dash with
99
90
people.
with like the freaking baby park, but a much more complicated track with 99 people. That level of chaos. That's what I'm anticipating. It looks like it's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, it's like
Is there collision?
Oh yeah, there's collision. It's
So
a
what if
major
you got
gameplay.
like 6 people and just lined up your cars
Oh,
across
people
the
are
track?
totally gonna do it. We're gonna have another incident of pools closed.
Yeah,
with this.
and
That's
it-
what's gonna happen.
They announced it's exclusive to Switch Online members.
Yes, which means you can't do single
So-
player.
and which also means that it's not a game that you just buy. I think you just get it if you
I
have
think
Switch
if you,
Online.
yeah, I'm pretty sure you just install
it's
it if you
probably
have
like
Switch Online.
on Switch they have things like the Pac-Man 99
Yeah,
and
it's-
Tetris.
yeah,
and
it's
stuff
exactly-
like that.
it's
exactly like
Yeah.
that.
And
these battle
if you
royale
really
games.
want the authentic experience, if you for some reason have a SNES wireless controller, you can play F-Zero 99. I didn't even know they had
Yeah,
wireless
I
SNES
heard about that. I
controllers.
love the old SNES controller, so I was
That's
really happy to
insane.
hear
So
about
you can
that.
so
play you
crazy.
can play
Yeah.
Battle Royale.
These-
You can play Fortnite F-Zero.
But I love that they're combining the whole battle royale aspect, which has been done to death, with a
With race.
with a 99-player race.
Yeah, when's
Which
the
just-
the Mario Kart Battle Royale coming out?
Mhm.
That
They
would be
kinda already
that would
had
be
a
a mess
bit of
because
that.
of items. That would be
No,
like
that's perfect.
That's
that'd
the
be-
idea.
no, you just would never get to move. Like,
Okay, that's true.
Well, no,
Everybody
they
gets
balance
the triple
items.
red
they balance
shells.
the items to work in
oh
that
Yeah.
way.
man,
But like, I think F-Zero is definitely going to show people how like this type of race game could work, and like whether or not it would be a huge success based off of how much people like this. But
Yeah.
it looks like it's going to be a ton of fun. There's also we're going to skip some of the new releases real quick. Okay, Tomb Raider 1 through 3 remastered. It looks like they're basically giving it the same treatment they did for the Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask, and Ocarina of Time
Yeah.
remakes, except minus the 3D aspect.
so this is interesting. This is going to be on the Switch.
It's on the
because
Switch.
I do not think of Tomb Raider's always been a PlayStation.
Or an Xbox.
Or
game.
Xbox.
But I mean, it's played on
But
other
they came
consoles
out. The
before.
first three did, yeah.
Really.
And so they're remastering those, and they're basically doing the same thing they did with those Zelda games, where it's essentially the animations are the same, gameplay's the same, probably a few bug
Just
fixes,
upscaled.
but they just upscaled the resolution on the 3D models and the graphics.
But you have the option to toggle.
you have the option to toggle to the
Really?
old graphics.
Like Halo 2 Anniversary style.
Really.
You can toggle to the old graphics anytime you want, which I think pretty much any upscale should allow. Always have that as an
Because you can
option.
get the
I
direct,
love it.
Because doing that like in Halo 2 Anniversary, just like
Like,
seeing the difference, is
nostalgia.
crazy.
And like I think that's a fantastic, and they're offering it as a single bundle.
Yep.
Which that one might be $60, but hey, that's 20 a game for 3 games right there. I'm fine with that.
And then Luigi's Mansion 2.
Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, another remaster for
That was a
the
3DS
Switch.
game, wasn't it?
I think so.
Weren't 2 and 3 on the 3DS?
I think so. And so it's great to go back to Luigi's Mansion. I've heard a lot of people say that Luigi's Mansion 2 was their favorite of the series.
So you get the HD version, and then obviously Super Mario RPG is getting a remake.
Yep. And let's see, any more?
And then
Very
anyone who
excited
want
for
to
that.
play Trombone Champ on the Switch?
Yeah, let's move
Trombone
on to
Champ
the
on
new
the
games.
Switch.
I'm imagining that the Joy-Con is going to be, you have to
Yeah,
use it
motion
as
controls.
the slide.
Exactly.
That's fun.
So this is what I was talking about earlier when I said we'll get
That's
back
perfect
to
for
it
the
when
Joy-Cons.
you know?
Yeah. This is what I was talking about earlier when I said that we'll get back to that part where Nintendo's like, you're not going to use the Tekken or Joy-Con? Fine, we'll do it. Was not only can you motion control the... actually, it looks like the motion control is just raising up and down to match the slider on the screen.
That's a missed
No.
opportunity.
But they took the opportunity. Because the infrared sensor on the Joy-Con can tell how far away an object is. So now you hold the Joy-Con and your hand is the trombone slider
Okay,
with
that's
the
good. Okay.
infrared sensor. This was, in my opinion,
'Cause,
this
like-
entire game exists because someone at Nintendo was upset that no developers were using the infrared sensor. He's like, screw it, we're doing something. And it's going to be the most ridiculous
Yeah,
game ever.
Well, this is not.
But-
This is an indie game. This is not a Nintendo game.
Because before
This
it
is
was...
an indie game that.
Oh,
made
this
the
is an
rounds
indie
on
game?
Streamers a couple months.
wasn't it?
This isn't an
Yeah,
official
I-
Nintendo title.
No.
This
Yeah,
is a
you'd use
indie
your
game.
mouse.
Oh,
It was
my
a mouse.
goodness.
It was a mouse-based rhythm
Yeah.
game where you
Yeah.
move on the height.
Oh, so this already existed.
So
oh,
yeah, it's
okay.
for several months.
So we actually do have a third-party developer using the dang infrared sensor. Thank you.
Kyle was over here trying to give Nintendo credit that they didn't.
Yeah, and so the thing.
I
the
just thought
thing
the
with
characters looked like me.
the thing with
So
Trombone Champ
Kyle
is it's an
shills
entire.
for
It's a whole meme of a
Nintendo.
game, but
Uh-huh.
It had
I'm
it had a 2-3 week meme cycle.
yeah, it
Yeah.
had a short meme cycle. But I'm quite sure that there is a lot of user created content
Oh,
Oh,
to
this
play
is gonna
all
be
kinds
great.
of silly songs with the
I
trombone.
want to do Crab Rave on the
Trombone
trombone.
Yeah.
is yeah.
So this is going to be fun.
Dave the Diver on Switch. That's
Yep.
cool. I've heard
Dave
a lot
the
of good things
Diver,
about that
yep,
game.
it's coming
and
to
then there's
Switch.
a Detective Pikachu Returns.
Yes, so a new Detective Pikachu game on the Switch. I'm super excited about that.
October 6th.
You just scrolled past Wave 6 of Mario
Yeah,
Kart,
you
Mario
want
Kart
you want
Deluxe.
your,
which this is the
more-
last one. I think this is the last course pack. Finally.
Finally, they've been doing the
Does that
same
mean
thing
they'll
with
go on
this.
to
It's just
Mario
been
Kart
forever.
8's
Kart
life
9?
cycle is like
It's just
transcending.
I think I think it's a good way to do
it's
it.
transcending
honestly.
console generations. It's
It
now
is.
gone over what two and a half because it came out on the
It's the
Wii
best-
U.
It's the best Mario Kart
It was
game
on the
ever
Wii
made.
U. It's on the Switch. It may be on the Switch's successor,
They'll make
probably.
a port of it.
But I do hope eventually they make a Mario Kart 9, you know, and just
Mhm.
stop.
Stop.
But another thing, speaking of DLC, new DLC for Splatoon 3, the final part of the Splatoon 3 expansion pass. I think it's the final part. No, it's the second wave. And when I first saw it, some of the visuals reminded me a lot of Portal, which I think is neat. But they apparently have something where it's this tower you need to climb as a part of the story, and apparently they designed it to be infinitely replayable. So it'll probably have some ways to mix it up each
Yeah.
run, which is fun. But there's more, some entirely new games. Princess Peach gets her own game for the first time in a
First time
long
ever.
time. No, not
No,
ever.
since like the DS.
Yeah, the DS
Mhm.
had Super Princess Peach, and let me tell you,
Right.
that game was kind of ridiculous. I mean, it was neat
was
that they were
very
giving her own
strange.
game, but like her powers, her abilities were just mood changes.
Yeah,
so
it
you
was
you'd
like
make her sad, and
make
she
her
was
sad and
crying
she
huge
cries.
rivers, and then you could like grow a plant that you could climb, or
make her angry and she's like
fiery.
on fire and kills enemies.
There were like 4 moods that you could swap between, and that was what she did. That was all. And I think she could also like float pretty far. She had pretty floaty in-game physics.
just a little platformer with some. good-
This one, I feel like, honestly, they may have taken some inspiration from the way that they did Peach in the Super Mario movie, because she's very active and just has talents that she's working with. But, like, they gave her kind of like in Super Mario Odyssey, where he has the special hat. Now she has this special sash that, like, ties her hair back, and she can transform into
Yeah.
these different things, which is fun because Mario's always transformed, and now Peach can transform, and she has her own like gig with that. And honestly, it looks like it would be a fun game because it changes up the gameplay every level, and there's all these different forms and powers and stuff. I think it'll be pretty good.
Yeah.
I think this will be a good game.
They announced some other JRPG looking games. One that is looking interesting is this Yuden Chronicle 100 Heroes. It was supposed to come out a while ago
That looks
in 2020,
very.
but then COVID came out,
It
and
looks
it's got
very Octopath.
it's got the Octopath
Yeah,
style of
I
like
thought
the
at first it was an
2D
Octopath
the 2D
game.
pixel with like basically just crazy shading.
Oh yeah, it looks beautiful.
Like these kind of games are just so visually stunning.
Oh yeah,
Because they just take this like pixel art style and then just like shaders.
just slap
The
all the best Minecraft shaders
the
on it.
Minecraft treatment.
And oh my goodness, it looks gorgeous. I'm excited to see where it goes. There's also Unicorn Overlord, another tactical RPG. They're looking to revive that genre.
And then any
Which is-
WarioWare enjoyers?
New WarioWare.
New
Yeah,
WarioWare
new WarioWare.
was announced in the June Nintendo Direct, but then it was kind of
Yeah,
just
we got
showed
the
off.
gameplay trailer here.
And then the big thing that I thought was cool is that they're still on track to complete their gallery museum in Kyoto.
Yeah, that was really cool to see.
They're
The museum.
converting an old plant.
Yeah, and they're like painting a giant like
Yeah,
block, the question block
Item
thing from the
block.
Super Mario games onto the roof, which is great.
so if anyone's ever in Kyoto and after March of next year,
Go
you
to the
can
museum,
and
the
visit
Nintendo Museum.
Unfortunately, I'm not doing it. I'm going to Japan
You
anytime
think I got the
soon.
money to go overseas?
I have money to go to Canada, not to go to Japan.
Yeah. Oh, another huge thing: a new Prince of Persia game.
It's
Wow,
been a while
really?
since
It's
Prince
been
of
yeah.
Persia.
Speaking, like going back to
That's like
franchises that haven't had a
GameCube,
release in
last
forever.
one.
That is
Yeah.
GameCube.
Like we're reviving F-Zero. Well, F-Zero was more of a remake, but this is an entirely new game, a new Prince of Persia. Prince of Persia used to be a huge force in like action RPGs.
Yeah, well, this is going to be a 2D action platformer, so it's not going to be Prince of Persia as
Yeah.
we
As
last
you know
saw
it,
it.
yeah.
So,
But I still think it'll be great. Like
Yeah.
an action. I think Prince of Persia did start as action platformers.
as a 2D, probably.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, it
but
did.
then during
It did
the
start in 2D.
Xbox, during the Xbox generation is when they moved
It
into
went
the
to
3D.
the 3D that
platformer.
was-
The first Prince of Persia was like on freaking DOS or something.
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, it was old.
Old
it
2D
went
platformer.
back a while, but
It was
I
old.
was excited to see that. I did not see that one coming.
Yeah.
That was
Some
fun.
good Nintendo Direct stuff.
So me coming away from this direct, I'm in the camp of Nintendo hater fans where like I'm just convinced that there's a body of Nintendo's fan base who hates Nintendo because they haven't done it. They won't
don't
do
make
what they
any-
did
yeah.
10, 20 years
Innovate
ago.
Uh-huh.
and try new
And,
crazy
um,
new things.
You know, they make new things and sometimes they're fantastic and amazing, but it's like there's such a large part of the fan base that's just like give us
Dude, the next
either give
console-
us remakes or just give us like the capability
Just
to
do that
play
thing
these
again.
old games, right?
Mhm.
Because Nintendo's
Because it's like-
always trying to make something they've never done before.
There's Nintendo has such a library of games that like you cannot legally play, you know, like
unless
they're
you happen
not
to have the old
available
game in the
unless
old
you have the
console,
old
and it
game
still
in
works.
and they just it's just like they refuse. And so this maybe it's just
They're opening up
a heavy hit of copium, but like this is promising.
yeah.
I
I would love
like some
if
of this.
Nintendo essentially just took all their people making new games and just kept them making new games, doing what they do best, which is just constantly innovating, making something wildly new, and then just made an entire second department that's just bringing the things they've done that were really successful, just bringing those forward so we can keep playing
Yeah,
them.
they could have like
it
they could have 5 or 10 years of like, hey, we're just gonna have 2-3 remakes and
Like-
remasters every year, and like you
Yeah,
have
honestly,
a lot of good
with
stuff
other
to go through.
developers, I wouldn't be as inclined for that. But with Nintendo, just a constant cycle
Nintendo.
of remasters, I wouldn't mind.
Well, because most other game developers don't have such a rich
They don't
history
have a library
of
like
like
Nintendo
a lot.
does.
Because it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, Microsoft has like Game Pass and you can play older games, but like Microsoft
It's not quite the
games only
same.
go back to like 2003.
That's true. They're all much
Mhm.
younger, and plus they all do tend to have more.
Like
of
no
a-
one, no
of a
one really
niche.
is out here trying to play a Microsoft game that's older than the original Halo. Like
That's
nobody
true.
really remembers games older than that.
That's true.
And like with Sony, they're
Um,
doing it with Final Fantasy, and other than that, they're not really trying to. Because
Yeah.
Final Fantasy is the only like
Good.
Japanese like JRPG that people remember from the PlayStation.
That's true. And with other like games where you want to see things ported forward, it's third-party developers,
Third-party
like
developers.
Activision.
Like
Blizzard.
most
Well, right
companies
now.
don't have an expansive library of first-party games like Nintendo does,
That's true.
or at least games that people remember from back in the '90s. Like
Mhm.
Sega's the only.
And yeah,
We're not gonna have remastered Sonic the Hedgehog. That's not gonna happen.
yeah, it'd be nice to have a remastered Sonic Adventures series.
That
Yeah,
we could use. Will Sega
Yeah.
ever do it?
Probably
They
not.
Probably not,
Probably
because
not.
they feel like they hit a home run with Frontiers.
That's
Mhm.
true.
but
They're
see
gonna
the
work
thing
with that.
They're
the
going
thing
with
with
Frontiers.
Sonic Adventure is like those have a soft spot in my heart, but it's like
As
they're on
they are.
Steam.
Yeah,
you
can
know,
get them.
like
Okay, that's
they
fair.
are available.
You can
just
get
grab
the
them.
old games. So
way,
Nintendo has
you
to
know?
remaster their games because you can't get them any other way.
because
That's
Nintendo just
true.
hates
Most
you.
of the other older Microsoft games and stuff, you can just go onto Steam and get Master Chief Collection and
Yeah,
play the
That's true.
original
I
Halo.
have Master Chief Collection. I got it
You
on
can
sale
go
on
back
Steam.
and play the adventure games. You just can't go back. It's like, you know what? I want to go play the original Mario. It's like the only way you can do that is if you boot up your Switch and go into the shop. You can't go into Steam
Yeah,
and just get it.
that's fair. That's
Yeah.
fair.
So
Yeah,
Even
and
just with like deprecated shops, like the Wii shop and the 3DS shop, like all
Yeah.
those games are just gone
they're
now.
just gone.
yeah.
you know?
Can't get them.
Well, I mean, we have that one guy from YouTube, Gerard Khalil, who bought the entire 3DS and Wii U
And it has
shops
been archived.
so that he could archive the games. That was what a hero, right?
So Nintendo Direct had their
Wow,
thing.
that's
Yeah.
incredible.
And then
Yeah.
Nintendo also kind of said some other things.
Yes,
about...
there's some other important news from Nintendo. There was an interview. They're already working on the next Zelda game, but it's not
Really?
going to be. It's not going to be a sequel to Tears of the Kingdom. They're leaving that version of Hyrule
Its own
behind.
game.
Which again, like I feel like Zelda in some ways has been a microcosm of Nintendo, where they just sort of reinvent it every single time. There's
Yeah.
very few direct sequels. There are games that reference back to other older games, but they're still very different from them. And it looks like they're doing that again. They've done what they wanted to do with this version of Hyrule, with this version of just how they've done Zelda. They've done it very well. You know, both incredible games, two of the best of all time, I would say. But they're moving
Now
on
it's time to move on.
to new stuff, and that's a classic.
We're
Nintendo
going to
move.
space.
I want a sci-fi Zelda at least
Let's
once.
let's.
I got a
The
taste
Master
of that.
Sword is not a sword; it's a laser sword that they can't
It's a
call it a
lightsaber.
lightsaber.
Like, dude, you have no idea. I've been wanting it for so long. I got a taste of that with
It's
the
called
Sheik
the
attack.
Master Saber.
Oh, there we go.
Master Saber.
I'm gonna
want
trademark
like
that now.
I want a version where you do a time travel where you go to like future Hyrule with sci-fi and then present Hyrule with
Ooh,
just
that could be
medieval
cool.
fantasy tech. I wanted that.
Ocarina of Time, but cranked up to 100.
Yeah. But anyway, they're
1,000
moving
years
on.
in the
We don't know a
future.
ton about it. They say that they're not opposed to going back to this version of Hyrule later down the line, but they're going to try and do something. I actually had a dream last night where I saw a commercial for the next one, and it was like a chibi art style game, and I was like, "This is what
Here's
they're
what I
doing?"
need, Nintendo. Here's what I'm thinking.
If anyone has the gift of interpretation of dreams, please send in an email.
I think Nintendo. Here's what you do: you release you call it Legend of Zelda: Echoes of the Past, and it's just all of the storylines. You're just like traveling through time across
Oh,
all the different
gosh.
kind of games as Ganondorf is like somehow just tearing apart space time.
You just make
Sonic Generation style, but Legend of Zelda.
there. No, you
Zelda
make a
multiverse.
No,
Zelda
okay, well, we
multiverse.
don't call it multiverse.
You take the idea of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure and
Make
put
it a
Zelda.
Zelda,
in
sure.
there.
So, do we have any more information than that?
Not much.
they're just working on
We
it.
do know, however, that they've decided that the Breath of the Wild is their template going forward, which
Oh, so
probably
that art
means
style.
the art style, the color scheme. I don't think Link is going to have his green color scheme going
I'm fine with
forward.
that. I think the
The-
cell shading
the sort
is
of like
really
Yeah, the
beautiful.
cell shading and
Wow.
the blue unified color scheme between Link and Zelda, I think, will be their template going forward for the character design. Like, which is insane because Link has always been green.
Mhm.
Like, there are
Yeah.
very few characters who have had anywhere near as consistent of character design as Link over the years. Even like the same dang hat.
I mean, Sonic has never
Well,
changed.
Mario hasn't changed.
Mario,
Mario,
Master Chief
Sonic,
hasn't
Master Chief.
changed.
There's a small collection,
But it's like
of
the
them.
icon, the
Mhm.
industry icons
But
don't
like
change.
even
Yeah.
like I would say even Mario's outfit has had more variation in his
Mario has
proportions
Mario-
than Link.
yeah.
You know. And so having this change really shows that they are going in a whole new direction. There's a lot of really salty old Zelda diehards out there who are not happy about
That's
The
funny.
that.
future is now, old man.
My first thought with that is like, oh, okay, we're like sticking with Breath of the Wild instead of like design, instead of reinventing Link every single time. So like, come Smash 7, we don't have like
Well,
8 or
eight
9 or
Links.
10 Links.
Well, not necessarily. They may still make changes to his design, but they're going to use the things they established with Breath of the Wild as the new template for Link and Zelda.
I really like. I like that they're taking maybe a step away from the open world Breath of the Wild Tears of the Kingdom style, because it's like the last linear Zeldas. If I'm just veering right into like, okay, wish list for next Zelda. Like the last traditional linear Zeldas, you had Skyward Sword and you had Twilight Princess.
Mhm.
Skyward Sword is a slog of a game in my opinion. Twilight Princess is also kind of a slog of a game. It's
You
very
want a
like
less
high.
sloggy linear
I
game?
want like Ocarina of Time, where like
Hmm.
you have linear. You have the linearity of the well-crafted story, but there's still a lot more flexibility. There's a lot
Mhm.
less hand holding. You know, you've got some story, but you
Wasn't,
can approach
Wind
the
Waker
dungeons
was
in a
kinda
bit of a different order.
Wind Waker, was
Wind
kinda
Waker,
was
yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
Well, Wind Waker
Something
was
like
open
that.
world, though.
Yeah, but Wind Waker was
to a lesser extent.
to a lesser
To a lesser
extent.
extent,
It's more just like an area you can explore.
The
and then
GameCube
dungeons.
wasn't technologically advanced enough.
I want a linear Zelda with
Let's put it in
branching
space.
and converging paths. I want to be able to do the dungeons out of order kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think that would honestly be a great way to unify both the old and new Zelda
Yeah, it could.
fans. We'll see whether or not the new one is open world or not. They've given almost no hints about that. We know that they're taking a lot of design cues from Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, but we'll just have to see.
Well, we have to wait 10 years. We'll see you in 2033 on the next Nintendo console when it's released in
It's finally
2033.
released.
They'll use the next Legend of Zelda as its release
As it
title.
I mean,
Right.
you're not wrong. Breath of the Wild was like
In development for forever.
2017,
Yeah, it was
and
2017.
Skyward Sword was like 2008.
Like, genuinely,
2009?
we're going to be in the 2030s
It
by the
was,
time
yeah,
the next
it
Zelda
was
game
past
comes out.
2010 by the time Skyward Sword came out.
Really?
It'll be
Yeah.
2030.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure
2011
of it.
maybe.
Something like that.
Well, 2030. Mark your
But
calendars.
I mean, hey, whatever it is, we know it's going to be good.
Just don't make it on Unity.
Uh-huh.
Ooh, do I detect a
Transition.
good transition?
Mm-hmm.
Why shouldn't they make it on Unity, Ben?
Yeah, tell me
Well,
about that.
outside of why would Nintendo ever do that? But
Yeah, why? Well,
in the hypothetical world
wait,
of
can't the Switch run Unity Engine?
probably.
I'm
I think
sure with like,
when,
I don't
when
know.
they announced it, they said it
there's
could
gotta
run
be-
Unity
there's a lot of
Engine.
games on the
Nintendo
Switch,
would
and
never
tons of
make
them
a
are
Zelda
Unity.
game on
Well,
Unity.
yeah, they
But
make their own game engines.
why
But
why
yeah.
shouldn't they make a Unity game then?
So, corporate greed.
True.
So,
Of course.
just this last week,
Yeah.
Unity has released a statement saying that from now, starting January 2024, every single download that comes from the Unity engine will, and depending on like your level of number of downloads, level of
what license you have.
license, how much your revenue is, you have to pay 20 cents to Unity, the company.
Yeah, I think
see.
it's if
Mhm.
it's made over $200,000 over the
I
past
can
12
pull it
months
up.
and had been downloaded a total of 200,000 times, then it would be subject to a 20-cent fee.
So
every
if it
install.
has been downloaded 200,000 times, and if your revenue was over 200,000 in the last 12 months, you will start paying 20 cents per install.
For every person who installs.
Mhm.
Interesting. And this is on the developer side.
Yes,
Yeah,
the developer
would
pays.
pay Unity.
Okay.
It's a tax. It's a Unity tax.
That's interesting. This is reminding me, in principle, a bit like the OGL controversy with Wizards of the Coast, but nowhere near the massive, like, what was it, 25% royalty?
Yeah, that
that
was
they had,
crazy.
Mhm.
That
which
was
was
ridiculous.
out of like so. But at the same time, like this is much smaller. But you're still saying that this is like a corporate greed, potentially company ruining thing here.
Well,
Like,
yeah,
it's-
tell me more
everyone's now
about it.
upset at them.
There
Well,
is
it's pretty upset.
Going along with the
there's a
controversy,
pretty much mass exodus away from Unity in like the indie space
Right
right, now.
right before this announcement, all major Unity stockholders, like the Unity
Wow.
CEO, the Unity like share like board people, they all dumped their Unity stocks.
Oh no,
And then they released
Isn't that called
That's
insider
called
trading?
insider trading.
Isn't
that sounds like
illegal?
insider trading.
Isn't
Yeah.
that illegal?
it's only illegal if you're poor. Anyways,
Oh,
Ah, true.
don't speak
so-
the truth that hurts me.
and here's the thing, it's on installs, not purchases.
Yeah, it's the first install that someone makes.
Oh.
So people have very quickly identified that it's like, hey, there's a
You-
developer you want to take down, set up a bot
To install.
you
install and
purchase a game
uninstall.
once, install, uninstall. and
Oh,
Well,
that's-
they
charge
came back
them.
and like they tried to like address the issue of repeated installations, saying that
Mhm.
only the first installation. So it may be like they'll have the IP or at least like the whatever code to tell the server that's like this computer downloaded it
Yeah.
already once, so no
Mhm.
longer.
I
have
think
it.
there's still ways
And
for
then-
a bot to
But
fudge their
it's-
IP.
Oh
It's
yeah, fudging
on-
IP's not that hard.
Yeah, it's on installs, because if you have a game that is free, that has
Yeah, the
in-game
developer then
purchases,
loses, yeah.
as long as their revenue goes above 200,000, no matter if the person buys stuff or not, as long as people are installing, you will have to keep paying. And so, for example, there's just one developer. His name's Danny Dev or whatever. He made the game Muck and the game Crab
Muck.
Game.
He is
And-
he is a high quality YouTuber.
Mhm.
He makes good content.
He makes good content.
documenting his development process.
Mhm.
Nice.
He is very
And
funny.
his games are very popular. They're free, but he'll throw in little like skin stuff, so you
Yeah.
can customize, and he'll get some revenue. But with that, his games when they were released were downloaded about 28 million times.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
Oh, that adds up fast.
If in any situation where he earned over
200K.
200K, he would have paid $5.8 million.
Yeah,
Or
so it's like
5.6.
the overwhelming,
$5.6
like
million.
most developers were out here thinking.
Wow.
There's a quote on this Games Radar article where it's like, "I don't want to sell my house because my game was too popular."
Mhm.
Which
And
is
so
a
there has
valid
been
concern.
plenty of backlash with this. For
Yeah.
example,
Yeah.
very popular game Cult of the Lamb
Mhm.
said, "Okay, we're just pulling
Sell the game.
pulling it from the engine. We're moving to Unity or Unreal."
I mean, like Unreal was already poised to make a big splash, and now it's
this
just gonna make a
just
bigger
makes
splash
a
since its
bigger
chief
splash. Unreal
competition is gone.
crazy.
The other thing that I heard that this will possibly kill is like the free mobile game market might be like forever changed.
Yeah.
Unity
Oh,
is
because
huge
a lot of that is
A lot of them are
Unity.
made on
for
Unity.
mobile
Yeah.
games.
And heck, like Unity even made a lot of browser games possible after Flash died, so those are
Early
gonna
on.
die.
They're all
But
gonna die.
wait, but those aren't installed. Those might stay alive through.
I don't
Unity.
know. Well, there's
Because you
probably
don't
gonna-
install them on
well,
your
there's
computer.
gonna
I don't
be
like
browser games.
I don't know if I don't
Yeah,
know
how
if
many of
like
those are really being.
I don't know if there are like certain spaces that will just die or go away, but in that like this
Unreal
might mean
is
that like
Unreal is now the
everything
path
is going to
forward.
move away from Unity,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
which and
Mhm.
so
Basically, everything
Unity's going to die.
Everything's going to be made
insider
in
trading.
Fortnite.
everything's going to be made in Unreal or in Fortnite, like
Mhm.
or Roblox.
Or Roblox. I mean, a lot of things are already made in Roblox.
Another funny thing
I
about
was-
this that I read is that the CEO of Unity, I don't know how long he's been there, but he is the ex-CEO of EA, as in the guy who brought us pay-to-win microtransactions.
Battlefront 2.
Why does the gaming
So,
industry keep doing this? Hiring these
same
crappy
dude.
CEOs over and over again.
because they make money.
You get you're right. Like you got this guy who will squeeze your like audience dry for a few years and then ruin your company.
I want that
I
guy.
better hire
That
him.
guy.
Here's the thing: if you don't want to be paying 20 cents per install, you'll have to get the like different license
Different
subscriptions.
licensing of it.
So you can get Unity Enterprise.
So it's really there just to shuffle
So
people
instead
over
of-
to the subscription.
Yeah, instead of making more than $200,000, you have to be making more than $1 million. And you'll have to get more
Yeah.
than 1 million installs, not over 200,000 installs. And
Yeah,
then
it's-
at that point, if you have more than 1 million installs per month, it's just 1 cent per install.
Per
But if-
month. But what if
Mhm.
you're just really popular one month and not the next?
Yep. And then if you have, 1 million, 1 to 100,000 installs, then you're paying.
And I
It's
feel
12
bad
and a half
for the guy
cents.
who's just popular enough to go right below
That's
the
the
threshold.
thing. That's
just
the
right
thing,
below the
It's
threshold.
like you could like Unity Pro. I don't remember exactly what the prices for Unity Pro and Unity Enterprise are, but it's something like $2,000.
Unity Enterprise, I looked it up, is $3,000.
Yeah, so it's like
That's
it's
not very
nothing.
much.
Well, that's the thing. Is it's sorry, Mike. It's nothing for a game studio, right? But this is what
For
this
indie
kills. It's
developers.
just like if you are a personal indie developer who makes
Mhm.
something and throws it away and then it blows up, that is now a bad thing for you.
Yeah.
You know, because you don't
That's-
have a license.
and Unity
Because
was
yeah,
never
it's not.
expected to need one.
Nope.
It's
Yeah.
it's not like they're making they're taking from like the purchases. They're taking from you.
Yeah.
They charge the developer,
So
not
if the developer is making no money, they still
Yeah.
have to pay.
This was absolutely ridiculous. It's like, and Unity was huge for indie games.
Yep.
There's
that
another
way
case
Unity
of
was,
some jackwad in the corporate office not understanding who they're working with as the users of their product. Yeah,
They
so annoying.
So we're all gonna be moving away from Unity. Everyone go to Unreal Engine.
Mhm.
Go to. Nope, I'm not gonna say that one. Go to Unreal Engine, or I guess go to
Godot is another one that I've heard that a
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
people are.
I'm sure
running
there will
to.
be some others that will try to rise to take the place that
Yeah,
Unity had.
I'm sure
Yeah.
that we'll see in the
You know,
coming
'cause
months
I
that
think-
someone will kind
I
of
think
look-
we'll see-
Roblox.
Well, Roblox is still going strong. I was browsing like job openings because
Roblox
I'm
is-
about to graduate, right?
Roblox is
Mhm.
And there
crazy.
was like this big posting for a high-paying Roblox developer job. Not
Roblox
even
is
for like
crazy.
Roblox itself, just to make games to load into Roblox.
Mhm.
Really.
Roblox
Yeah.
is crazy.
This was on like Indeed, I think.
They just need more community management because of all.
Oh, they need so much more.
Got a
community
lot of
management.
sketchy people running.
A lot of
around there.
sketchy people, some like labor extortion,
Yeah.
lots of
Yeah.
labor extortion.
So Unity, if you're an indie developer, Unity's not where you want to be anymore unless
Yeah.
you want to have to sell your house.
I just want someone to basically make something that does everything Unity does and just call it the Dunity engine or something stupid like that and just release it as freeware.
No, you don't call it Unity. You just call it like disorder. You just
The
opposite-
disorder
the
and
chaos.
chaos.
Chaos. Powered by chaos.
Anarchy engine.
Powered by
Actually, that's kind of
anarchy.
catchy. The Anarchy engine. Let's be real. That'd be fun. That sounds
I would
like.
read a young adult fantasy
Called the
series called The
Anarchy
Anarchy Engine.
Actually, you know what? That sounds like the next hit YA series right there.
We've already sold the movie rights.
We sold the movie rights.
It's gonna be a Disney Plus original series.
Oh man.
Oh, it's gonna be
So
terrible.
that's all the news, all the news that we've got. But earlier earlier this month, our friendly neighborhood Canadian.
Wait. There was the Mario recast.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I think that's full of baloney. I listened to that. Mario
Well-
sounds exactly the same.
He sounded different to me.
It's,
Oh, I haven't heard the new voice.
Timothy
think he sounds the
Chalamet
same.
has reportedly.
Timothy Chalamet.
Wait, why am I saying Timothy Chalamet? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, wrong name. Wrong name.
Dune.
I'm an idiot. No. So what's his name?
You
The
about
guy
to
who
tell me
played-
bootleg Willy Wonka is
Yeah,
Mario?
No.
Wait, no. Scratch that. Reverse it.
It's me.
Oh my
Scratch
goodness.
that to reverse it.
Because the same
Oh my
freaking
gosh.
European sound. Charles Andre Martinet.
Like he hasn't
That's what got me
interacted with
confused.
any of it, but like I listened to the clips and I don't really hear a difference.
Well, everyone practices
I
their
think
Mario
it's just
impression.
very nitpicky,
I
and they
think
want
it's
the
too nitpicky.
nostalgia
I
and the.
think everyone needs to calm down
Yeah.
until the game is released. Because
But-
people think that he's not playing Mario in the new Mario game based off of like throwaway lines in the trailer.
Well, you need to
Mhm.
understand. You need to understand. Charles Martinet, who's voiced Mario since he had a voice, officially declared he is retiring from voicing Mario going forward.
You want to
and
know what the
becoming a
very
producer role
last
in
thing
Nintendo.
that we ever heard, the very last game that we ever heard Charles Martinet's Mario in was Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope. That was
Let's
the last
go.
Charles Martinet appearance.
That's so funny.
Well, that and the Super Mario movie where he was the dad
that was fun.
and,
And that cameo,
the,
yeah.
the guy who ran the Italian
Last
pizza
video
place.
game, I guess.
The last video game. Yeah, but
Yeah,
what's
the
funny
issue,
thing
the
about-
issue that
Rabbids.
everybody has is that if it's a new actor, like Nintendo didn't like make any announcement about it, that the
Yeah, it
game
just
may
kinda
just be like
happened.
out and it's like, oh, by the way,
it's
here's the new
guy.
actor, rather than having like a passing of the torch kind of thing.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
sounds really good, but yeah, the thing is, it's like
Thing is,
if
and-
it is a new actor, there's not confirmation if it is or not. But
Yeah.
if it is a new one, Nintendo said nothing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And Charles Martinet was on record saying that he would voice Mario until he died, and then suddenly he reversed that decision. And he's beloved. Everybody loves this
Something
guy.
tells me
It's
he's paid
just-
a lot of money.
Give the man a like. Maybe he's losing his voice or something.
Yeah.
But
maybe
there
he's
is the
just-
thing. It's like maybe he can't do it anymore.
I think people need to like hold off on like freaking out until it's like officially said if it's him or not, because
Yeah.
judging it based off of a few lines in a trailer when he is getting older, it's like
Mhm.
wait, it's hard to tell.
I also think it's like, I think it's very sweet and respectful to Mr. Martinet to be like, okay, let's recognize how much this man has
yeah.
done. But it's also like, if I think back over the last 15 years, like, I can't be like, oh, those were all exact. Like every video game character is the voice is
It's
gonna
iterated.
change sometimes,
Yeah, the voice
and
will
I
change
don't
over
feel
time.
like I haven't recognized that in Mario.
Mhm.
So I have to be.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I guess they were always the same guy.
Oh, it is
I don't know.
always
Yeah,
the
like,
same
I-
guy.
It's always the same guy, but
Chris
like,
Pratt,
I don't
Charles
think it was-
Martinet. I could not tell a difference.
yeah. I don't think it's gonna
Uh-huh.
so
Yeah.
we'll have to see.
But yeah,
Well,
things
who's
are-
gonna replace Rick? Rick Sanchez, Morty.
There's been a ton of news articles
Pratt.
I've seen.
Obviously,
Okay,
obviously
Chris
you are.
You.
No, every 20-something white guy on the internet can do a Rick impression, dude.
That's true. That's true.
Oh,
Oh yeah. So
but now is
according-
our time to send in
Yeah.
our audition tapes.
Here we go. Send
send
in
them
your
to
tapes.
us. We'll
Yeah, we
we'll
know
take
what to
care
do
of
with that.
them.
So yeah, on the Wikipedia page for Charles Martinet, it has a note on Mario and Rabbids Spark of Hope, last Mario game to feature Martinet's voice prior to stepping down.
Okay, well,
So there's a good chance that all the Mario games going forward that don't use old audio files like the Super Mario RPG remake are probably going to be.
So, yeah,
in
I
You're
guess-
telling
it
you're
makes
telling
total
me that
sense 'cause,
his
like,
his
Mario
last
Wonder,
hurrah,
they sampled
was
an
a
elephant,
rabbit
so-
game.
his
a
magnum
Rabbids game.
opus was Mario and Rabbids.
I wouldn't call that his
I wouldn't
magnum
call it his
opus,
magnum
but
opus.
his
I-
last
It's
hurrah
last hurrah was a Rabbids game.
was
I don't understand why those games even exist.
They're
fun.
great.
Really?
Well,
Okay.
no, I guess no. His last hurrah is the Super Mario Bros. Movie because it was a Mario thing, even though it wasn't a game, it was a movie, and it came out in 2023
Okay, okay.
as
okay,
Mario and Luigi's
okay.
father and Giuseppe the the pizza
Let's
shop
wait for
owner.
the new Mario game to come
Or
out for
Giuseppe.
Nintendo to actually say something, or not, and it's just like you find out through the credits of the game.
Yeah.
Of like that's
But
not.
hopefully
Charles.
the new guy's able to keep the same kind of
It sounded
energy
like
and feel.
if that is the new guy in the trailer, it doesn't sound any different.
I'm curious who the new guy is, but
Chris Pratt. They're
It's
like, he did
Timothy-
such a good job in the movie.
it actually was
Bringing him
Chris
back.
Pratt.
Timothy Chalamet.
Yeah, actually, that would be
Chalamet.
so funny. It's actually wait. It's Johnny Depp.
Johnny
He's like, I've
Depp.
decided to not make another Pirates movie
I'm gonna
after
make a
all, and I'm
Mario
gonna do
game.
Mario.
Oh man. All right. So now we'll.
Yes.
Scott sent us an email at the beginning of the month. Our favorite neighborhood Canadian.
Mm-hmm.
So he
Thank you,
said,
Scott.
"Hello, Benjamin, Kyle Than, Aiden Zoid, Korthew, and Jasonicus."
Hey, you mentioned
Well, he
me.
had you in parentheses.
Oh.
He says, "It's me again. I'm here to revel in my victory." What victory, you ask? Why? Getting an old buddy of mine married. You're welcome, Ben.
Hey.
And then he goes, "Not gonna lie, until he mentioned it in the last summer episode, I didn't really think I was involved, but I'll take credit where credit is due." To be
Or
fair,
more
Ben
where
would
it's
not be on
offered.
this podcast without you, Scott.
Yeah,
I
no,
love this
that's
fan
true.
mail section that's just only
It's
Scott.
only
It's just
Scott.
Scott. We should call it the
Scott
Scott
mail.
mail section.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Scott, man. So he's like, I was asked to comment on the Married Man meta. My take: secure a gamer wife, secure a gamer life. Simple as that. And he goes, "Oh, also, kids are XP waste for the first few years until you can get them to grind your favorite MMO for you. So they're a net benefit." So
Good to know. I'll take notes.
You can't play until you've done my dailies.
that's the chore chart. Is which daily to grind.
Did you clean the bathroom? Did you practice the clarinet? Did you do your dailies?
Did you do my Genshin Impact dailies?
You get my primo gem.
Are you level 87 mining on
So he
freaking
goes,
RuneScape
anyways,
yet?
I'm here to discuss a Bethesda game. Not Starfield, but the one
Oh.
that turns 12 years old in 2 months.
Oh.
Skyrim.
Hey.
The one that's still like $40 on Steam.
So he goes, as it turns out, the Skyrim modding scene is making so many technological advances that people are calling this the golden age of Skyrim modding.
Wow.
In 2023,
Really?
almost 12
Really?
years later. So on the one hand, there's AI enhancements with voice acting, which facilitated
Oh,
that's pretty
significant
cool.
expansion with dialogue. And then there's mods that can allow Dragonborn to speak their lines thanks to speech synthesis. And then there's all sorts of packs from Geralt from The Witcher to Kratos from,
Oh, of course. Like,
Mhm.
and Zed from
I
League
mean,
of
you can
Legends.
get Flying
but, like,
Thomas
the-
the Tank Engine already. That's been around for a while.
The AI is very interesting
Yeah,
to me
so they
because
have,
like
like,
you
all
use
these-
AI to get their voice to say whatever they want, and then the AI can also think of whatever
What
they
new?
can
What
say.
would
So like
say,
all the
'cause it-
voice tag, and then he also says on the technological side, there's like longtime monolith mods that have been in there are being replaced by shinier, faster ones with source mods. So like
Mhm.
there's like the dynamic animation replacer, which allows for smooth insertion of custom animation packs, and is being replaced by Open Animation Replacer, which does the same thing, but it's open source, backwards compatible, and lets you edit the animation triggers in real time without restarting the game.
What the
My
heck?
my wonder is,
That's amazing.
I wonder how long it's going to take before we get to a point where we reach a game that is being coded in real time,
That's crazy.
like where the AI, because
Procedurally
like
generate the code.
AI was made to make coding easier.
Yeah, instead
That's
of just
true.
like we have stuff to procedurally generate. You generate the terrain and stuff, but at a point,
Yeah.
yeah, it'll probably be like procedurally
like,
generated
so
enemies
this
and
is
whole
allowing you
towns
to like
and
would be
in
surprised by
real
what they
time
create.
edit animations, and then the skin mesh physics mod HDT SMP is being replaced by a faster version, which multi-threads the physics calculations and increases frame rates when multiple
Wow.
actors of physics.
So
it
basically-
basically is allowing for like clothing, hair, capes to move realistically with the wind.
Oh.
And so it is
Oh my
removing lots of
gosh.
the limitations because, it prevented the game from running on more than, one core.
Yeah.
So now
Mhm.
it's going to be able to do
Wow.
multi-threading.
And the game of the year is Skyrim.
Skyrim?
What?
And then one that is really funny is ENB, which is like a really complex closed source
Ah,
mod for shading. He says it was a mod for shading developed by a guy in Russia with some strange opinions and aggressive tendencies, is being gradually replaced by a mod just called Community Shaders, which is kind of being worked in to replace it. So it'll be able to have multiple, shading and lights and that sort of thing.
Wow.
So it and then there were like some others where it was like limited because you can only have like 4 light sources at a time. And so it's like if you were up against a group of mages that with like 8 fireballs, only 4 of them would render the lights and the rest of them would just be there. And that's being replaced by, you know, the dynamic lighting and stuff. So he's just like, all of these are allowing you, it's just replacing older ones and opening up. So like the community shaders is allowing for that dynamic light source to be changed. And then there's like complete gameplay overhauls, introducing like full on like Elden Souls, like Elden Scroll, like Dark Souls combat, Genshin Breath of the Wild, like paragliding, the ability to climb up any ledge in the game, like basically things to make this 12-year-old Skyrim feel like a modern AAA title without any of the bad release shenanigans, without multi-trend, like
no
microtransactions, and like just crazy expansion mods that like add.
So essentially, guys, if you're like me and you don't own your own copy of PC Skyrim, now's a good time.
Well, then what's funny is I demonstrated a few of these overhauls in the attached video if you guys want to watch it. Scott, there's no attached video, so I don't know what you're talking about. This email has email has no links, has no video files. I don't know what you're talking about.
It's not even a Google
Actually,
Drive
that's
link?
my bad. I think
it's on Ben.
I think he sent it to me through Gmail.
Blame it on him.
Blame it on me.
Forward it to do you want to play it on the TV? We'll just watch it.
I get it. So it's just kind of like he's talking. It's like the Skyrim modding scene is keeping this 12-year-old game.
I love it.
Alive.
Scott, if there are 2 games in all of existence that are exceptional for modding above all others, it's Minecraft and Skyrim. And like, don't get me wrong, there are plenty of games that are great for mods. Left 4 Dead 2 is a hilarious example. Battlefront 2. But like, Minecraft and Skyrim take the cake in a way that nothing else does.
Here, I'm sending it to you through Gmail right now.
Quintessential modded games are Minecraft and Skyrim, because it's like the amount of mods. Let's see if I can get this.
There's a part of me that wonders whether, like, if I can manage to snag myself sometime soon a copy of Skyrim on the PC, if I should just like basically from the get-go put in a ton of these mods to expand functionality, or if I should do one story run through on just how it is on the release.
I would play defaults run through and
then go.
I would argue that like there are plenty of things that it's just like perfectly fine to have off the bat. Like
what if it's just an optimization?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind doing optimization and graphical packs. But what about things that like expand on dialogue options and other stuff like that? Where I'm not like adding Elden Ring mechanics or the Genshin Impact gliders, but just things that like basically are like, here's more Skyrim.
Here we go.
You know.
This is so.
Oh, that's gorgeous. Oh, freaking! That's Ganyu right there from Genshin Impact.
Yeah. So
the girl with the bow.
This is just one video that he's. This is the one that.
Of course, he's playing.
So like, there's just models that people have loaded in, but like.
Oh, that was cool.
If someone just showed me this, I wouldn't think that this was a 12-year-old game.
So I could play Bananakin Skywalker instead with the Breath of the Wild.
Bananakin Skywalker. So like it's a. I mean, like obviously, I imagine that the default engine probably has some issues.
I mean, the snow's having a bit of trouble loading in the way it wants to.
But that could also just be a limitation of, you know.
It even has the ice arrows. That's hilarious.
Yeah,
this is incredible.
It looks so good too.
It seems like it's having a frame issue. I don't know if this is Scott's build having issues or if this is someone else.
It's hard to tell.
But look at this. You can just climb.
And climbing. Oh, there's a part of me that just wants to add climbing. Like, just do Skyrim performance packs, visual packs, and then climbing. But that might mess up the story.
Now I would assume that most of these are just through the Steam Workshop. I would imagine.
I would imagine.
But you could probably also just download.
You can do
them
some
online.
stuff through the workshop, but there's like a secondary launcher.
Yeah, that's
through,
true,
like,
because
Forge kind of
because
stuff.
like Steam Workshop wasn't around when Skyrim first started getting modded and like popularly modded, so it probably has its own community.
They have
its own headquarters.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
Yeah. I would argue that in current year, default Skyrim isn't really worth playing.
No.
Like you're talking like, oh, should I try the default? Like I also, part of me is also like, wow, like Skyrim modding renaissance. Too bad that Skyrim isn't that great of a game and is super old. But at least you have lots of like gameplay overhauls to make it more like Elder Scrolls or
Elder Scrolls,
maybe
Elden
more like
Ring and Dark
Elden
Souls.
Ring and stuff like that. So like,
yeah, let's make Skyrim more like that Elder Scrolls game. I've
it started with an S, I think.
Don't worry, the 6th one will come out eventually, guys.
Yeah, it makes me wonder if another game will ever reach this kind of point. Like maybe Starfield in 5 years will.
That'd be fun to see Starfield modding get to the point that Skyrim.
Well, but see, the thing is, because it's like Bethesda hit like Skyrim is being super modded, but then like Fallout 4 isn't kept alive currently by mods.
I've got it.
There is some modding, but
There is a planet you land on that is literally just Skyrim.
Load that into
I
Starfield.
love
It just
that.
load the entirety of Skyrim into Starfield.
well, not just Skyrim. Do the entire continent that it takes place on.
No,
for
no, the
Elder
whole
Scrolls
planet.
games.
The whole
yeah,
planet,
the whole planet
is just that, and then another one is just Fallout.
Mhm.
You just the Bethesda.
All Bethesda games
all
are
the
now
Bethesda
just
games
in
are
now
Starfield.
in
Starfield.
You know, someone's gonna do something akin to that.
Load it in. You're like, now I'm playing Minecraft. It's just Frog Fractions, but it's Starfield.
There we
Every
go.
planet is just a different game.
Well, it's
Frog
just like
Fractions 3
it's
is
just
just
like
the
your
Starfield
your
mod.
Steam home menu is
It's
just
just
your
loaded into
spaceship.
Starfield.
Whoa! It's just like Steam VR where you're like in the little house with like
but
the
it's
screen.
Starfield.
I played Minecraft in Starfield. I did my homework in Starfield. I ordered pizza through Starfield.
You're like, man, I'm getting tired of this.
Anybody want to play League of Legends? Just a second, I got a fast travel.
Okay, over to the League of Legends planet.
To Summoner's Rift
There we
planet.
go. Yeah, it's like this, just like Rift
Starfield
Nebula
is the
looking thing.
Matrix.
Starfield is the Matrix. That's gonna be the VR
It's
expansion.
Ready Player
mod.
One.
Yeah,
This is the
Step
real
aside,
metaverse.
The real metaverse is Starfield.
Suck on that, Mark Zuckerberg. Or should
Phil
I say
Spencer
Zuck on
is in charge of everything now.
that? No, Phil Spencer pulls off his mask to reveal Mark
It's
Zuckerberg.
Mark Zuckerberg. Phil Spencer's just been Mark Zuckerberg the entire
It's
time.
like, you all fell for my plan. It all started with Halo many years ago.
no.
I actually don't know if he had any
And then
involvement
Mark
with the original
Zuckerberg will
Halo.
pull off his mask and just be Gabe Newell.
He's like, guys, Starfield, the next update is Half-Life 3.
Is Half-Life
Just
3.
kidding. You're not getting it.
That's what it would be. It's like Valve will make a new game. It'll be like an open world with fast travel and like hidden and like the darkest abyss of like the fast travel is Half-Life 3.
Like the entirety of Half-Life 3, but you gotta do like something as complicated as getting the good ending
Frog
in.
Fractions. You're
It
like
breaks
play-
into like an
you're
AR.
playing like the full like game, and then like it's all just a ploy for
To
Half-Life
this
3.
day, I still haven't played
still
Frog
haven't?
Fractions 2.
We need to do something,
haven't
like maybe a
gotten back to
live
Glittermitten
stream
Grove.
where we get you through to Frog Fractions
Jason's
2.
just,
We
like,
just
losing his mind.
and like we'll cut in partway through Glittermitten Grove. We'll work Glittermitten Grove in shifts so that we stay sane, and then we get to Frog Fractions 2.
Oh man. Well,
Oh,
that's
man.
pretty much all.
I think
Any
so.
more news before we close out? And before anyone's thinking the esports segment, with how we released the podcast, it didn't make a whole lot of sense anymore.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Because we're talking
we-
about,
that-
we would talk about esports matches that happened by the time the episode released 2 weeks ago.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
we're already
so
outdated.
we're
So,
changing our format on that.
The esports segment will be transitioning to Daily Universe articles that I will put out every so often.
Really? That's cool.
Yeah.
Because I'm on the esports beat and I can't do it every week because that's too easy. So
Mhm.
I will be doing it every 2 to 3 weeks, maybe once a month. I'll just recap a month's worth of esports articles, so you can find them on the Daily Universe website starting next week. Actually, Monday will
Yeah.
be when I write my first one.
So
So
that's
it'll
where
be
you can
more
go.
more of in one place. If you have 5 minutes, you can just skim it. Whereas with the segment, you kind of had to watch through it, and you were getting
You kind of had to,
outdated information.
and you had to like listen as we like made comments on various
So
things.
those will be
It's
on
like
the
a
Daily
now
Universe
easily digestible
every
visual form.
every so often.
Yeah.
So take us out, Kyle.
All right, guys. Knights of the D-Pad is an official publication of the Daily Universe. We'd like to give a special thanks to Alan Neves, Miles Romney, and Melissa Gibbs for everything they have done and continue to do to help support us and continue this podcast. As well as shout out to some of the other members of the Daily Universe staff who Aiden and I have been meeting with to do some other cool things related to this. More of that in the future. So, but for all of you, if you would like to reach out to us with feedback, ideas for topics, or just to say hello, or if you're Scott,
Join the Scottmail.
yeah, join the Scottmail. Guys, join Scottmail,
Knights
okay?
of D-Pad podcast at Scottmail.
You know, I am tempted to. But yeah,
Please
you
send
can
us
shoot
all of your thoughts and questions. If your name is Scott, if your name is not Scott, we don't want to
We
hear
don't
from
wanna
you.
hear
If your name's not Scott, shut up. But you can email us at knightsofthedpadpodcast@gmail.com. That is all one word, no punctuation. All lowercase. Yeah, just shoot us an email. We'd love to hear from more people than Scott, but we would also love to continue hearing from Scott. So,
Please don't.
thank you.
Scott, if you stop sending us emails, we may never get emails.
Yeah.
The podcast will just
Podcast
stop.
will
He
crumble.
did sign off on his email. It was like from your only fan. Like
Oh!
your single fan, Scott.
I mean, my parents have told me that they do watch and listen to the show, but it completely goes over their head. They're just doing it to support me. They say that we are funny, but they have no idea what
You're
we're
doing
talking
great,
about.
sweetie.
Thanks, Mom. Thank you, Mom. Anyway, with that, let's sign off. My name is Kyle,
I'm Ben.
I'm Aiden.
I'm Jason, not Court.
and we are the Knights of the D-Pad.
Court.
See you next time.